Balls and leaning.
Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_Access. Joined alongside Tim in Green Bay. We got Jacob in Wisconsin. I'm down here in Redneckville, USA, a.k.a. Tennessee, here to talk some Packers, talk some 53-man roster projections. No predictions. Perfect drop, Tim. No predictions, just projections. We're going to talk about who maybe earned a spot, who didn't, and just kind of get the chat's take on it as well. So before we do that, though, if you guys would do that YouTube stuff for me, hit like, hit subscribe. If this is your first time tuning into PTA, welcome. Thank you for making us a part of your evening. We're not experts here. We're not insiders. We're not media members. We're fans just like you here talking Packers on the daily, doing pregame shows, postgame shows, film breakdown, roster projections, the whole 9 yards. So if you're looking for daily Packers content, make sure you click on subscribe and also click that bell icon so you're notified every time we do go live. And I know we had some contracts that got done today. Surprise, surprise. Terry McLaurin is a Washington Commander for the foreseeable future. I think a 3-year extension. The Cincinnati Bengals through Trey Hendrickson, a little guaranteed money this year just to shut him up so we can stop talking about potential trades there, obviously, right? And the only other one out there is the elephant in the room, Mr. Micah Parsons, which I got to be honest, I'd be very surprised if he gets shipped out of Dallas as well. But anything you guys want to hit on before we dive into the roster projection here, gents?
No, other than, Trey Hendrickson staying put. Big shocker, right?
I guess, what's your opinion, Clayton? Do you like when players do that and kind of set a new standard that if you pout and kind of stomp your feet, you can get yourself maybe a little guaranteed?
Been going on for like 20 years, man.
Yeah, I know. But like, that's my point is, we don't see that often in Green Bay.
Right.
What do you guys think about kind of, feeding that sort of mentality?
I think the reason you don't see it in Green Bay is because we have set a standard here of, hey, listen, the contracts are going to fall in line. And this is something that New England did really, really well with the Patriots, right? Bill Belichick, this was how he operated, how he modeled his roster. It was constantly, hey, listen, this is the pecking order type thing. So these teams, it's no surprise that these teams that are constantly running into these contract, roadblocks, I guess you could say, are the ones that are bad football teams, and they're consistently up and down, up and down, up and down. And the reason being is they'll allow a player to reset the market in their locker room to a certain extent, right? Like, look at Zach Tom. I personally think Zach Tom is one of a handful of offensive linemen, specifically tackles, that deserves top money across the league. Did we give him top money? We did not, right? So, he can block. So what I'm saying is the Packers don't look at it like that, right? And I think also, Tim, I want to get your take on it as well, Jacob's original question. But the other thing is we talk about Packer players, Packer types, right? These guys, they are well vetted coming into the Green Bay, organization. They're not going to draft someone that they think might have problems in this regard, right? They want a team first type approach. And I know there's some fan bases go, whatever, you're just saying it because you're a Packer fan. Okay, show me where people were upset. The closest we have is Elton Jenkins, right? Yep. And boy, he really stomped his feet, didn't he? He just basically said, hey, I'd like a little guaranteed money. And they said, we'll talk next year. And he came into camp,
Exactly. Kind of like when Rashawn got his deal, right? He basically just signed whatever they put in front of him, and he's still here. You're talking about cut from that cloth. Love it.
Yeah, and people will look at the Rashawn Gary contract and be like, oh, he broke the bank and this and that. We talked about it. As soon as he signed the contract, we were like, boys, you're going to look up in a year and go, well, this is a pretty good deal. And I still think it is. I mean, this is the first year that his cap hit has jumped over $20 million. And people say, well, that's because they kicked the can down the road. You don't understand a damn thing about contracts, because the reality is next year they can get out of the contract and start to free up cap space where they kind of get their head back above water. But
Yep.
Go ahead, Jacob. Were you going to say something, man?
No, I was just going to say, like, kind of like you said, how we set the precedent. We also have kind of a certain understanding that if you play well in Green Bay and you do what you're supposed to, you're going to get the bag. It might just take a little longer than maybe you expect or whatever, but we're going to give you good market money and a solid contract. And so, yeah, I think that's just kind of another tip to the hat of the way that the organization has been ran for the last, well, probably since its existence.
Yeah,
Pay that man his money.
I knew you were going to do that.
We got Emilio joining us. Oh, by the way, we got us a new drop too. I had to break out the oldie, the classic. Y'all ain't ready for this one. You ready?
I put the team on my back, dude.
You remember that? You remember the Greg Jennings drop?
That's my favorite. I love those videos.
Yeah, dude. It's I watched it. I watched it earlier. It was like, man, I got to get a drop from this. And I watched it probably 15 times and just laughed every single time. Darren Sharper enters the screen.
Yeah, Darren Sharper, one of the hardest hitting safeties in the league.
Well, I thought you were going to say something else. Lord,
you do that, you're going to get your ass kicked in that.
Coach, no cursing in here, other than you, Coach, other than you. So, all right, y'all ready to talk 53 or Emilio? You got anything to add to the contract talk there, man? Obviously, we were just mentioning Terry McLaurin got a 3-year deal, and Trey Hendrickson, they threw him a little crumb to get him to come on into camp or come on in, I guess, a week 1, did you say?
Yeah, most of the time they end up working out. But glad we got to think about it for a few days there, got to imagine it and then move on. But yeah, no, I'm just, glad they're getting paid. You see what happens. I mean, sometimes you get paid, then you have an injury. It sucks, but at least they, they got their money and they can help out their family and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's dive into it, boys. Let's get to the offensive side of the ball. Again, this is Matt Schneidman's projected 53-man roster, okay? Now, there's one thing that changed. Obviously, he put this article out and all this information that basically AI pulled from that article and said, all right, here are his 53-man roster, prediction, I guess you could say, right? The one thing that's changed, though, is obviously we made the trade for the offensive lineman yesterday. We'll talk about that when we get to the offensive lineman set here. So here's his projections. And I've got PFF grades off to the side here. If you guys need to know how people performed in the preseason, I can try to run those down for you. But quarterbacks, no surprise. Jordan Love, Malik Willis are your starting or your 2 quarterbacks on your 53-man roster. He said they're going to release Taylor Elgersma and Sean Clifford. Notes both released quarterbacks likely on the practice squad. Elgersma has a higher ceiling. Clifford more ready for an emergency. Pretty much goes hand in hand with what we talked about, right? So my question is, let's just go around the horn here about it. Do you guys think we should keep both of those guys on the practice squad, or do you think that extra practice squad spot would be, valuable? I kind of like the idea of keeping them both personally, but I want to get your all's take on that. I know there's not a lot to talk about the quarterback position, but let's go around the horn with that. We'll start with you, Emilio. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I think that's probably spot on. Both of them don't really see them getting signed to a 53, so let's go ahead and slide them over. I mean, Sean Clifford's been Jordan's backup basically since he got here, and I think they have, that connection. When it was Move the Sticks, Bucky and DJ were talking about just having a backup. It's like, hey, can you win us some games? Yep, check. Malik has that. Are you a good person? Do you care about the guy? Yep, check. And then can you build value for yourself? And that also comes with winning those games. Malik's done all that, right? So I think you're looking at the options for Sean and Taylor, and the practice squad would be perfect for both of them. You can kind of flip-flop if you need more of one type or the other kind of quarterback for whoever you're playing that week. But there's there's a lot of potential there, I think, than just keeping them around.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tim.
No, I agree with everything Emilio just said, except I'd like to keep an extra spot open for my boy Will Shepherd on the practice squad if possible. But
Tim would not stop talking about Will Shepherd at the game. He's like, look at him.
But
you would not stop talking about the female cop. So let's be honest.
Yeah.
You do that, you're going to get your ass kicked in that.
I wish.
But in all seriousness, Emilio's right. If you can get both of these guys in the practice squad, I don't think either one's going to disappear anytime soon unless there's some kind of massive emergency across the league in the quarterback rooms. So I think if you can have Elgersma and you can have Clifford, the big red dog, on your practice squad, you're feeling pretty good because, the NFL is unpredictable. You never know what can happen. But that being said, if I had to pick one, I'd probably pick Air Canada and keep a spot open for Will Shepherd. Colorado Buffalo. Let's go.
Yeah, and I want to say this real quick. Coach Lynn said, Jacob, he said, where was it at? I know I've seen it earlier. He says, we need the extra spot, right? So he's thinking just keep one quarterback on the practice squad. I could see that as well. Also, it's worth mentioning, like 2-0 for this, not 2-0 for this. Deadfish just said the Lions also released Hendon Hooker, a 2023 third-round pick. Keep in mind, Hendon Hooker, if my memory serves me correctly, he was a top 30 visit for the Packers that year.
Ooh.
So just saying, and me and Emilio, we got firsthand, view of Hendon Hooker down here. He took that University of Tennessee team, and I'm telling you, man, he played within that Josh Heupel system.
Yeah.
Damn near flawless. So for what it's worth, and he's not afraid to tuck it and run as well. But yeah, go ahead, Jake. Sorry.
Yeah, not sure if you saw this also, but right when we went, the Lions also released a Dan Skipper, which I don't know if that's injury related or if something else, but that was kind of surprising with all the kind of the injuries and the retirements that they've had on that line. So something to maybe just keep a look at there. But Hendon Hooker, like you said, man, that was a guy that I thought was deserving of, I guess, a little more a better look. Maybe the Lions just feel like that they've got it set right there. Got him looking pretty decent, but I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting once, obviously, tomorrow happens. What is it, 3 p.m. Central Time, where all the final cuts are announced, and then we could be seeing a couple curveballs thrown our way where we thought that we had certain positional groups kind of set in stone, and all of a sudden you get some free agent that, like you said, that the Packers had a high rookie or a high draft grade on, and it just kind of throws a whole wrench in the spokes.
Yeah, for sure. All right, up next, running back. Matt Schneidman's got us keeping 3. Josh Jacobs, Emmanuel Wilson, Chris Brooks. I think we would all agree that's the direction we would go. He's saying they'll release Amar Johnson, Israel Abanikanda, Tyrion Davis Price, IR designated to return. He thinks Marshawn Lloyd with the hamstring, he will go on IR, and that means he would miss the first 4 games if he is designated, right? Extra notes there, allows keeping 2024 backups. Lloyd expected to miss, quote, some time, as Matt LaFleur had mentioned. We'll start with you this time, Jacob. What do you think about, or actually, Tim, you're up. I'm sorry, Tim, start with you this time. What do you think about what Matt Schneidman's got here with the running back room? Obviously, we'll get to the practice squad on the backside, and you can go ahead and mention that if you'd like, but I don't think there's any surprise here either, right? Josh Jacobs, Emmanuel Wilson, Chris Brooks.
Yeah, absolutely. That's your 3 as of right now. We feel pretty good about what we saw from, Amar Johnson and Izzy Abanikanda, but, those are the 3. And then, Marshawn Lloyd expected to miss some time. Translation.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
So obviously, he's going to be your 4th, at some point, hopefully. But we feel good about Chris Brooks, man. I mean, even just what we saw Saturday, he looked pretty good. And then he's been kind of steady Eddie, as Jacob would say, really these past 2 years for us. And, Emmanuel Wilson is another star in the making. So I feel good about that room. I think he's spot on here.
Yeah, and Jacob, if we decide to just keep one of those 2 running backs, Israel Abanikanda or Amar Johnson, I'm big on Amar Johnson. However, when you look at Izzy's PFF grade, 57.9, 66, and 42 were all of his preseason grades there. I'm trying to find Amar Johnson's real quick because I'm pretty sure he played a little bit better. Yeah, his 79.5, 72.2, 54.2. So he had his worst game here in the final game, and it is worth mentioning. His pass blocking grade, weeks 1 and 2, 73, 69, but Amar Johnson in preseason week 3, 3.6. I think they seen his cleats were untied and just said, let's give him the worst grade possible. But I don't know. What do you think, man, about the running back room here?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Like Coach says right here, he'd like to keep both Johnson and Abanikanda. He is still young. I was kind of impressed from what I saw from him, and it seemed like that they really enjoyed what he did with the return game. Matt LaFleur had high praise for him. He said that he loved the way that he attacked, being a returner and kind of how he has no fear. You just got to be able to kind of put your head down, hit the hole, and just, take it as it comes kind of thing. And it is we talk about how it's a good problem to have so much talent where you can't quite know who's going to make the roster. I just really do believe that Chris Brooks has got a special place in Matt LaFleur's heart. I just think that he really trusts him, and we saw it down the stretch in last year, and it'd be tough. I really do like Amar Johnson though, so to me that one will be an interesting case. I don't know which kind of these guys can get passed off to the practice squad and actually not get signed up. So it's again, like we talked about so many different times, I hate to be the guy making these decisions. It'd just be terrible.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. If possible, perfect for those three to make the roster. If possible, yeah, let's get Amar and Izzy. If not, I would just take Amar right now and kind of move forward if we have to cut it, and make that roster spot. But yeah, we're kind of set. We're kind of set at running back, honestly. E. Wilson is super nice and low key. Nobody knows about him in the NFL. Chris Brooks is our multi-tool that we use as a fullback, but can run the ball, catch, do everything. And Josh, and you just saw how mean he ran in that one run he got last game. Cannot wait for him to get the ball. So yeah, I think we're set right there.
Definitely. What's the chat saying, Jacob? Anything about the running backs, or is it just all everybody in there being toxic? Is that what's going on?
No, just 2-0 for this has got the comment of the day. It says, my Abaconda don't want none unless it's got runs, hun. So
that was very nice.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Well read, Jacob. The only other thing is the IR for Marshawn Lloyd, right? So he'd be given the designated to return, right? You only have 2 of those.
So that'd be Pup.
That's true. You only got 2 that you could designate to return, right, Emilio? That's
right,
what
you got to say that. Yeah, you got to say that before cut down. So, but he still would have to miss 4 games. I'm positive. I'm pretty sure. So,
yeah. So, do you think there's a chance he makes the 53 and they expect him back like week 2 or something? Is that what you're kind of
insinuating? That's like, are we going to use up another roster spot if we're already worried about keeping 3 and trying to figure it? I think you say, hey, Marshawn, we appreciate you. Let's get you over to like 110% ready to go back.
Yeah.
And, we'll put you on the designated to return because you only get 2 of those. And then the rest of them are pups, didn't pass the physical beforehand.
Right.
Think about the week 5 bye, right? So if he goes to 4-week IR, it's really 5 weeks. We get the bonus.
Very true. And here's the thing, though. I'm trying to think right offhand that obviously Christian Watson's going to start on IR, right? Designated return. So there's one spot, right? And then you've got if you do that with Marshawn Lloyd, your 2 spots are used up. Who else is hurt that you would want to use that for?
Colin Oliver,
exactly.
Right? Now, how's the pup work? See, I'm not real familiar with the difference between designating them a return and
when I was reading it, pup was physically enabled to for players who failed to pass their physical before the end of training camp. They also require a 4-week absence. So it would have had to happen before, right?
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
So I feel like because I think that John Williams would go on, season ending or whatever, and he would be okay. But I feel like Colin Oliver and Marshawn Lloyd are 2 IR designated to return candidates because Christian Watson was already on PUP and Travis Glover went on season ending IR, which is different.
Right.
It's a tough conversation to have, but like RER and Minor says, what are we thinking now after having, I would say, a rocky start to his career? He says is not sure Lloyd is worth it. Do you guys see enough potential with him that you think he is? I see Coach Len saying this, he is worth it. What do you guys think? It is a little tough.
If you're talking about what we've seen on tape, and I know it's very, very little tape, that dude looked explosive as hell. Yep. The problem is the injury bug going to continue to bite him? Nobody really knows, right?
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
So that's what makes it that's what makes the whole conversation tough. Based off what we've seen, just in that one, I'm telling you, that wheel route, the catch, everything, like that was not normal. You don't see, and I love Emmanuel Wilson. You don't see Emmanuel Wilson making a play like that. You know what I mean? And that's not to say Emmanuel Wilson can't. The coaches haven't put Emmanuel Wilson in a spot where it's like, hey, run wild up the sideline on a wheel route and we're going to hit you 40 yards down the field. That's kind of not his game. That's something that Marshawn Lloyd brings to the Packers that we haven't had since Aaron Jones. Like Aaron Jones was doing that type of stuff. So talent-wise, yes. If the question is health-wise, it's tough. Now, wasn't there somebody, Amelia, who am I thinking of, man? wasn't there a 3rd round pick that we cut tie? Amari Rogers, remember? So there's a little bit of precedent for, hey, just because you're a 3rd round pick, if it did, now his was more talent, lacking talent, it just didn't work out. It didn't materialize.
Yeah.
And so that's a great question. And I understand people that kind of differ on the opinion there for sure. But I think talent wise, we've seen enough with Marshawn Lloyd to go, I wouldn't mind to hang on to him. That's just me.
Sure. Real quick, Ron Sandoval brings up, so one other guy we weren't thinking about, Sorrell. How is his injury progressing? And is he one of those guys that'd be like a 4 weeks and then he's back kind of thing?
We'll get into him a little bit deeper when we get on the defensive side of the ball. But personally, the vibe I got was Sorrell's going to be back before week 4.
Okay.
That's the vibe I get. And I hope I'm right there. But that's just kind of reading the tea leaves, of course. But sorry, Dennis Shook. I brought up Amari Rogers, and he just threw it. Everybody
Put
now
that
see
name in my mouth right there.
don't hate on Amari Rogers. All right, let's come on now. That's Randall Cobb's godson. Let's be respectful in here, okay? So
how dare
people don't
you?
know the ties. Many people don't know the ties there, but so there was a quarterback by the name of T. Martin that won a national championship with the University of Tennessee Volunteers. Well, his pro career didn't materialize, so he goes back and he coaches at the college level. Well, guess what? He was the I want to say the receivers coach in Kentucky when Randall Cobb was the receiver there. So they got to be real close. And then lo and behold, when T. Martin, when his son was born, which was Amari Rogers, if I'm understanding correctly, he actually made Randall Cobb his godfather. So there was a lot of reports coming out that Aaron Rodgers didn't like Amari Rogers, and that's why they're trying to get rid of, and they didn't give him a true shot. That was the biggest crock of BS. Did he ride his case hard? Absolutely. But ironically, Aaron Rodgers is the godfather to Randall Cobb's kids, right? Yeah. Randall Cobb was a godfather to Amari Rogers. And to sit here and pretend like Aaron Rodgers didn't like Amari Rogers, they were all close.
Yeah. Rodgers rode everybody's butt if they didn't shape, if they weren't doing the right thing. He wasn't afraid. He didn't care who you were. He'd dress you down in public.
Yeah, and as soon as he said immunized, all of a sudden not everybody, that portion was just like, oh my God, anything this guy does, we are going to blow it out of proportion. So anyway, moving along. Emilio, you got anything else on running backs? I kind of cut you off there.
No, that's it. No, we're good.
All right. Let's move along to snap the effing ball, right, Bates? Like he didn't, there was nobody safe. Nobody safe.
My favorite announcer of all time is when Tony, hey guys, maybe you should try and snap the ball.
Yeah. Exactly. Which we need that soundbite of Tony going, I don't know, Jim. We gotta get that one. There goes the voice. All right, wide receiver. Matt Schnaub's got us keeping 6. Matthew Golden, Romeo Dobbs, Jaden Reed, Dontavion Wicks, Savion Williams, and Malik Heath. Released McCole Hardman, Isaiah Nair, Julian Hicks, Cornelius Johnson, Kawan Baker, which Kawan Baker, Tim, he got cut today, right, to free up room for the new trade.
So.
Yeah, so he's already out. And Will Shepard, you ever heard of him, Tim? So Pup, they're saying Pup is Christian Watson. There's a good one right there, Emilio. So it sounds like Christian Watson will not tie up one of those 4-hour spots.
Right.
So he's going to be on Pup. That's great. That's great news. So
perfect.
Coming back week 6 against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Let's go, man.
You heard it from a fan right here.
You show everybody why we wasn't interested in going out and getting one of their bum wide receivers.
Amen.
I'm just kidding. They got good receivers, let's be honest. But I'd love to see him just go absolutely off and outperform. Who was the guy? T. Higgins, right? That everybody was wanting.
Oh, yeah.
So, wouldn't it be awesome if Christian Watson just went out there and broke off $150 and a couple tutters and we just absolutely shut down T. Higgins? That would be great.
I would love it.
Matt Schnaub also said could keep a 7th for injury insurance. Heath chosen over Hardman for offensive skills despite Hardman's punt return role. Close calls due to injuries. Emilio, what do you think, man? I think we start with you this time, I believe.
I think that's a perfect setup right there. I feel bad for McCole, but Malik has done everything that we asked him. I was talking about that before in the pregame. I think like we were talking as if I can see, Malik Heath maybe running down there being a gunner. There he was, run down there. I mean, I think he made like 3 tackles and, good catch, good hands, worked across the field, got open for Malik. I'm happy with that 6 right there. And yeah, Tim, I mean, Will was kind of putting a little show on there for you in the stadium. So that's a possibility too. But again, that's when we all have to cut down to what's going to happen when Christian comes. But right now for the 53, I'm perfectly fine with those 6.
I agree 100%. My only question would be, how many receivers are we going to put on the practice squad? If it's a handful, 1 or 2, maybe, I hope one of them's Will Shepherd. Really do. One of them could be McCall Hardman for all we know. I don't know. But these 6, I agree 100%. I think Matt Schneidman's got it right. I don't think there's there's a little room for debate here, but you feel pretty good about these 6 right here for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Jacob.
Just real quick. Yeah. I mean, he has us releasing Isaiah Nair, Hicks, Cornelius Johnson. I mean, there was multiple times me and Tim looked at each other during the game. We're like, who was that? And it was Julian Hicks. Cornelius Johnson had a couple great grabs. I personally think that Isaiah Nair needs to be tried to be put on this practice squad. He looked so big out there. It just like he really does look the part. And I hope that, he gets a chance to, I don't know. I saw a chat question asking how many wide receivers do we try to slip on the practice squad? And is that like a necessary need that we the practice squad is there for reserve type stuff? Like, are we so stacked in the wide receiver room that we really don't have to worry about having too many backups? Or is it one of those situations where you just have so much talent on that practice squad that you're okay keeping them, or you want to keep them?
I would think the question would be, when Scoot comes back for PUP, do we who goes to the practice squad? Do you want to send Malik Heath to the practice squad? I mean, I don't. Savion Williams, do you want to send him there? I don't. Do you dress 7? Do you keep 7 on your active? So that's the real question. Like, when you look at, what, if any, receivers are you going to put on the practice squad right now after your initial releases, right? Because we see that all the time. Oh, so-and-so's released, and then 45 minutes later, they're signed to your practice squad. So there's no tell.
Yeah. For me, it's real straightforward. I would send Malik Heath to the practice squad if I had to choose, but I can understand why we would want to try to keep all 7, because by that time, who knows? Maybe Malik Heath with Savion Williams. Is he going to be ready week 1? Do we know? You know what I mean?
That's my whole question too. And we know what we've seen from him. It hasn't been a whole hell of a lot this preseason,
right?
So maybe he draws first practice squad spot after Watson's back.
You can have the same conversation with Dontavion Wicks and the calf too, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So you know what this kind of feels like, and maybe I'm off base here, but don't be surprised if the Packers sign somebody that gets cut, a wide receiver that gets cut. You know what I mean? And pop them on here and just go ahead and try to kick maybe Savion Williams or Dontavion Wicks to the 4-week hour. I don't know, but it's going to be interesting though, for sure. It's such an interesting wide receiver room, because you see the talent, you see the upside, you see all the potential, but at the same time, you're looking up going, damn, they're still kind of unproven, Like pretty much everybody is unproven. Other than Jaden. To me, Jaden Reed is the most proven one. I know people seem to think Romeo Doubs is a better receiver than Jaden Reed. I'm too drunk to taste that chicken. I like Doubs, don't get me wrong. But what Jaden Reed's done, all he's done is led the team in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns the last 2 years, right? Amongst receivers. So I don't know what else he had.
We only saw half of them actually play this last week of the preseason. Meaning you're missing half your wide receiver crew that you're carrying into the 53.
Yeah, great point. All right, let's move it along to offensive line, tight end. We can't skip over tight end, right? So we've got Matt Schneidman's got them keeping 3. Tucker Kraft, Luke Musgrave, John Fitzpatrick. We kind of called this all preseason, man. Fitzpatrick just completely leapfrogs Ben Sims on the depth chart. So released Ben Sims, Messiah Swinson, Johnny Lumpkin. Notes Fitzpatrick surprises in camp, mirrors last year's 3 tight end initial roster. So Jacob, it looks like last year we broke camp with 3 tight ends. No surprise here. Do you think there's a chance Ben Sims gets picked up, or do you feel pretty confident that, hey, we'll just throw him on the practice squad, and probably Messiah Swinson too? They really seem to like Messiah Swinson.
Yeah, I think there is maybe a 50-50 shot that somebody's seen enough tape on Ben Sims to give him a shot. I like his size, his RAS, the stuff I think he had some sort of diving catch that may have gotten called back, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in the preseason there. But I think he's put a little too much on tape to not be picked up somewhere else. But that being said, as much as you guys know I love Ben Sims, I do think that Fitzpatrick just seems like he's he's just done a little more, and I think he might be a little younger. But it's tough. It's tough. We talked about the possibility of, are they trying to sneak just 2 on, and that kind of thing. But I just think that Fitz has kind of done enough to solidify himself as tight end 3.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ben Sims looked really good early in camp, and then kind of maybe plateaued, and then, or maybe not so much plateaued, but at the same time you had the ascension of John Fitzpatrick. So I think that's probably why we're looking at it the way we are. But I do think it's between if they're going to keep one on the practice squad, it's probably between Sims and Swinson for sure.
Really?
No, Messiah Swinson is kind of like I don't know. He's like one of those physical freak guys too. But he was kind of in the mix there when things were getting chippy at practice a couple of times. I don't want to use the term hothead, but we'll just say piss is hot with that one for sure, which, of course, you like in a tight end, right? But the question is, are they going to carry one over for the practice squad, or are we just going to keep 3?
Right. And since we're talking wide receiver here, or we're talking wide receiver just now, Ari Mirov tweeted out 7 minutes ago, the Chargers have released Brendan Rice, the son of Hall of Famer Jerry Rice. He obviously a receiver. So, just because of the name, you go, whoa, right? But obviously nowhere near Pops' talent, at least up to this
point. That's what I like about the NFL, right? Like the nepotism might get you so far. It might get you an extra look, might get you a chance. Scouts are going to come watch you. But at the end of the day, you're going to get treated like everyone else if you can't do it out there, right? That
does kind of surprise me, though, because their wide receiver crew is kind of unpolished. You know what I mean? It's like Quentin Johnson, and then they've got the new guy that we liked so much, Tim. I can't remember what the heck his name is now, but I was kind of obviously we know the guy from Ladd McConkey, but that's interesting.
Yeah. If you guys would hit that like button for us, hit subscribe if you're new here. Thanks for making us a part of your evening here on the eve of the 53-man roster cut down. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us here tonight. All right, moving on to offensive line. This is one of the big ones, right? This is one of those positions or position groups, I should say, that's really going to shape out how many you keep at each position. Matt Schneidman says 10. We're going to carry 10 on the initial 53. Okay, so he says Zach Tom, Elton Jenkins, Aaron Banks, Rasheed Walker, Sean Ryan, Jordan Morgan, Anthony Belton, Jacob Monk, Donovan Jennings, Kadeem Telford. Now, I put an update in here. This was before we traded for Darian Kennard. Obviously, Darian Kennard, I think we traded him for a 2027 6th-round pick, I believe. So you can look at that and go, boy, that's 2 years down the road, and it's a late pick. You know, you think about giving up a draft pick, you think, okay, we're not going to cut him. He's going to make the 53. I don't know, man. That's pretty far away. If you get the right look from maybe another offensive lineman that comes available, you probably, I think you could part ways and just kind of, all right, we're done with that pick. Oh, well, we lost it. But it does to me say that if you don't sign anyone else here, Tim, you're probably going to roll with Darian Kennard over one of these other guys here. So to me, the names that come to mind is Donovan Jennings and Kadeem Telford are the two that's probably on the chopping block there. How do you guys see that? What do you think would change if you did carry 10 like Matt Schneidman's talking about? Because he's talking about releasing Trey Hill, Tyler Cooper, J.J. Lippe, Lasita Smith, Brant Banks. On the pup will go John Williams. So there's another guy, like you were saying, Emilio. He won't top an IR spot, but he will be on pup. Continues the trend of double-digit offensive line. Depth uninspiring, but glimpses of potential in rookies, said Matt Schneidman. What do you think, Tim? Which one of those two, or maybe you would mention Jacob Monk in that category too? I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I think they're going to keep 9. So 10 to me is I'm kind of processing this here. I do agree with the sentiment that it would probably be Donovan Jennings and Kadeem Telford would be the question marks, I guess, so to speak. I would think with the trade for Kennard that they're planning on keeping him. I like Lasita Smith just because of the fact that he's got a little bit of experience as a center as well as a guard. He's kind of like your, just an interior O lineman. Gives us a little depth in the backup sense. But other than that, I think this is pretty accurate. My only question marks would be Jennings and Telford.
Got it. And we got a little bit of breaking news here. I want to give a shout out to Blake.
Get that drop, Tim.
Browns are sending quarterback Kenny Pickett to the Las Vegas Raiders, per Adam Schefter. So Kenny Pickett.
Got hold to the wrong stuff.
Kenny Pickett continues to bounce around the league, and no, there was no crack involved to the best. I think we need to clarify there. So, all right, and wow, this was 25 minutes ago too. Former Jets star cornerback Darrelle Revis is calling for the NFLPA to step into the Micah Parsons situation, explaining there's a lack of respect from Cowboys owner Jerry Jones. Quote, the bigger issue is respect. Jerry's actions show that owners have no problem taking advantage of players, essentially. So that was interesting that it just popped up on the timeline there as well. Go own a team is all I got to say, man. That always cracks me up when people are like, these owners, they don't
go balance a payroll. Balance a payroll one time with like 2 or 3 employees.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. See how that works. 2 or 3 employees making $80,000 a year. See if you can balance that. Then try and balance hundreds of millions. See how that works.
And there's people too that say like, well, the league wouldn't be anything without the players. I get that. I understand that. You do understand, though, without the owners, there is no league. Like, it goes both ways. You know what I'm saying? Like,
forget us, too. If we're not buying jerseys and tickets and, $50 nacho plates at the stadium, I mean, there's no league either.
Yeah. And what does that have to do with the Packers offensive line? Absolutely nothing. So, anyway, Jacob, Emilio, what do y'all think about this offensive line? How do y'all see it? I don't care who goes first. I'm trying to keep it orderly, but obviously I keep losing my place. So,
you got Jacob.
Well, I mean, like Drew D says, the Kennard trade is very interesting. To me, it is kind of head scratching just because it felt like we had, at least in my opinion, it felt like we had a really solid backup rotation to the point where we've got first rounders and second rounders that could be quote unquote sitting on the bench. So that one was a little. I'm not a GM like we just talked about. There are people that are in that position for a reason, and I like our initial. I kind of agree with Tim. I think that we could get away with 9 and be good with that. And I do think that Donovan Jennings would probably be one guy that maybe has to get slipped on the practice squad. And I feel like he's had kind of a subpar camp at this point. But like I said, I'm just a dude in the stands smiling at lady cops. What do you think, Emilio?
That was a 5th round pick for Kenny Pickett, too. Speaking of lady cops, go ahead.
H.E. Solder, nail on the head here. The Glover shoulder turned out to be a big deal.
Oh, come on, dude. That was so long ago. You had to highlight that.
I tried to tell everybody, but we wouldn't have had to. We probably wouldn't have had to spend that 6th round pick. Exactly. If Glover was here, we wouldn't have spent that 6th round pick. But yeah, I'm with the I'm all on the 9 there, and it would be Jennings going to the practice squad.
How long were you sitting on that comment?
What's that?
How long were you sitting on that comment?
I scrolled back up to it. Don't worry, I wasn't going to lose it.
Yeah, I got to see the timestamp on this. It was 4 minutes ago.
It wasn't that long, but he was still. It was fresh.
It was 23 minutes or something.
It was ready. It was chambered for sure, Jacob. Don't worry. But yeah, I mean, it's tough because, we lose him to injury. You don't have, John Williams ready. You don't get to see what's going on there. But Kadeem Telford's their go-to. Kadeem also got the shot in the Eagles game as well. So you would think that they would kind of fall back on that, which kind of just leaves Jennings just on the way out is all.
You put that back. Bring it back up. This says Jacob bought Coldplay tickets the moment he met that cop. So we need to do another Photoshop, Tim. We need to get Jacob on that.
Upload that picture that
no, leave her alone.
We're not going to do that. We're going to do that. Now listen, there's legalities there, okay? But
don't worry, I got the picture.
She is a public servant, okay?
Did you show her this picture, Jacob? Did you say what you wear on the weekends or no?
I sealed the deal, man. I'm telling you, that's how she knew.
Was that her underwear on your head? That's what I need to know. Get the cop on the show, says Dennis Shook. I don't think we should do that because I'm pretty sure she's married, but that's a story for another day there, Jacob, right?
You're going to get your ass kicked in that.
You're going to get pistol whipped. That's what's going to happen. I've seen this play out before.
Some people pay more for that.
That's what I hear. Where were we, Tim? How do you let us get so...
You're an amazing person. You know that, don't you?
We were at the fact that Glover would have made the 53.
Come on.
Oh, boy, here we go.
The fact that we had to use a draft pick because my man got hurt, it's just tough to see.
I'll tell you this, man. I've got to agree with Emilio here.
Oh, no.
Glover makes this 53-man roster. If we add him to this list right here, he's on the 53. There's no two ways about it, Yeah. Jacob Monk's the interesting one for me, guys. Like, I don't know. I feel like he has played like crap. And I hate to bash the guy. I mean, he could do way better than me, obviously, but I don't know, man. That kind of feels like a big whiff, right? What was he, Tim? Was he a 5th-round pick? Am I thinking right, or was he a 4th? He was a 5th, right?
Thought he was 5th.
5th.
Yeah, I think he's a 5th-round pick. So it just, I would take the chance of putting him on the practice squad. So I'm kind of leaning toward what you said, Tim. If you're going to carry 9 as opposed to 10, like Matt Schneidman has them doing here, Jacob Monk, Donovan Jennings, Kadeem Telford to the practice squad, and you keep Darian Kennard, right? That's what it kind of feels like there. So we'll see them, and it's going to be very, very interesting for sure. B Timmy 10 in here calling you out, Emilio. He said, Excelio, what happened against the Eagles last year?
Oh, that was no problem. You just threw him out there in a left guard spot that he hadn't played all season against Jalen Carter. That's fine. Yeah, all right. I'll take that lump. That's all right. We had a rough game.
It was like chum in the water, though, wasn't it, man? I don't care who you put out there, man.
But Kadeem Telford went in right after him, didn't do as hot either, and he's still on the team, making the roster, making the 53. So,
yeah. Once Elton and I mean, listen, Josh Myers played like Dookie. Don't get me wrong, but boy, once you got to see everybody else against that defensive front for the Eagles, it was like, holy cow, dude. Holy cow. So anything else on offense, guys, that y'all want to hit on before we move on to defense? Anything at all? Now's the time to speak before we move on.
Blake B, I'd take Glover over Jennings any day.
Well, we know
Emilio's running victory laps. Yeah, Emilio's going to need oxygen, dude. He's running so many victory laps here. The chat is totally on board with him.
We're just going to put this photo up for the rest of the show. We'll just leave that up. Emilio's prom photo right there.
Read this one, Emilio.
Man, yeah. Jalen Carter, Dennis Shook. Jalen Carter was drinking a working command Gatorade that day. That's very true. I mean, he just had a Camelback on the sideline full of that stuff.
Yeah. All right, that's going to do it for hour 1. For those of you listening on the pod, we'll see you on the other side for hour 2, where we're going to break down the defensive side of the 53-man roster projection. We'll see you over there. Appreciate you.